Hi everyone, this is Hiba from My Little Journal, and today I'm really excited to share with you how I use PicFrame to create fun collages for my projects. I'm going to go back and forth between PicFrame and Fonto, so if you don't have those apps, go ahead and download them. But I will be screen recording this whole thing or this whole process because I found like it's the easiest way to share it with you. But we're going to start with the basics. I did want to mention that PicFrame, you can change the ratio up at the top right corner. And for a horizontal, you want it to be at 3:2, and for vertical, you want it to be at 2:3. With that said, let's get started. We're going to start with your basic 4:6 horizontal photo. It is always that first collage up at the top, and I'm going to click that. I want to fill it with a photo. Once I fill it with a photo, I'm going to change the border. It's all about the border in PicFrame. So you're going to see me slide my border to the tip of that top line. I hope that makes sense. But this is my go-to border for project life. You can make your border larger if you wanted to, but this is my favorite size. Once I like everything, I will go ahead and save it. And now I'm going to change the ratio to 2:3 to share with you how to create a vertical photo, which is really easy. It's all about changing the ratio. I will change it back to 3:2 because I wanted to share with you how to create two 3x4 photos for your project life. Basically, I chose the second collage, and I'm going to fill both pockets with two photos. And I'm going to keep the border as is because, again, this is my favorite size for project life. And then I'm going to save it. And once I print these out, I'm going to have a 4x6 horizontal, 4x6 vertical, and one 4x6 with two 3x4 photos. It's as easy as that. I started with the basics because once you get the hang of it, you will be able to create all the other collages that I'm going to share with you today. So another one that everybody asks me about is how to get 2x2s. This is my go-to collage when I want to print 2x2s. If you don't touch the border and you keep it where it's at the tip of that line, you will get 6 2x2 photos. If you want them to be smaller, you just have to adjust the border. It's all about the border. The border, if you slide it all the way down to the right, you will get smaller photos. If you slide it all the way to the left, you're going to get bigger photos. So basically, it's just playing with the border to get whatever size you want. I am not picky with my photo sizes. So I just look at it and I feel like, oh, it works for my project. So I'm going to go for it and save it and print it. Let's move on to this next one. This is another project life go-to. I get asked, how do I add journaling underneath one of my photos? I clicked on this collage where you can fill 3 photos, but we're not going to fill all 3. We're only going to fill 2 of them. I like this collage because I usually fill out 2 pockets in my project life with photos, and I use one side for my 3x4, but the opposite side, I'm going to move that line a little bit and fix my photo and then save it. Because I didn't fill that third pocket, this is going to print out blank. I went to Fonto because I wanted to share with you how now I can add journaling underneath that photo. Now, Fonto is really easy to use. You basically click on the photo and start typing. You can change the font, you can change the color of your font, and you can change the size of your font. You can even move the journaling from left, center, or right. Literally, it's all about you playing with the app to figure out what works for you. So I'm not going to focus a lot on Fonto right now, but I wanted to share with you how I add the journaling to my photo. And basically, this is how I do it. I always try to keep that bottom portion of my picture or my collage empty so I can have space to journal. And I love doing this because it really saves space on my project life spread, and I don't have to take up space with journaling cards. I can just add it to each and every photo. Okay, let me share with you another collage that's very similar to this one, but basically you have two photos at the top and the bottom portion is blank, so you can add journaling there. So I'm going to go back to PicFrame, and then I'm going to clear everything off, and I'm going to choose this collage where it has two photos at the top and one on the bottom. I slide my line down because I want my photos to still be seen and big enough. I'm going to adjust them. I'm going to save it. And then I'm going to go back to Fonto and add journaling on the bottom. This gives you more space for journaling. And especially if you have one story, so it's like one occasion and you have multiple photos for it, but a lot of journaling, you can definitely go with this type of spread or this type of collage to add more journaling to two photos, if that makes sense. So these are my favorites for project life. Let's move on to favorites for my traveler's notebook. Okay, so one of my favorite collages for my traveler's notebook is the 4x6 with 3 photos next to each other. So I use this when I'm documenting one occasion or my subject is doing something in the same spot, but like let's say dancing in the same spot, but there's different movements. It is so fun to do because you can kind of capture what they're doing. So basically, I would fill all 3 spots, trim them down, and they will fit across my traveler's notebook. So I use this collage for that. Love it, and it's a favorite of mine. I also wanted to share with you this collage. This collage I use when I want teeny tiny photos. The only thing I do differently with this type of collage is once I fill it out, I will shrink down my border, so my photos are pretty small, and save it. Then I'll go to a different collage, which is the 2 square 4x6s. So they're 2 squares in a 4x6, and add that collage into that collage. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Why I do this is because the more collages you add your photos in, the smaller photos will be. And I will share examples of these once I'm done. But once you add this in to a different collage, your photos are going to be much, much smaller. And I really hope this makes sense. It does make sense in my head, but I don't know if it makes sense while I'm saying it. Anyways, that's how I create teeny tiny photos. So basically, if you wanted 2x2s or squares, let's say, you can shrink them down by adding them in a different collage to shrink them even smaller. Okay, let me also share with you how to create 6x8 photos in your project life or your traveler's notebook. Your Selphy printer will not print a 6x8. So this is the way around it. I will click on my basic 4x6. I'll remove the border, but you have to use a vertical photo for this one. Once I slide my photo all the way down, you're going to get the top half of your photo. Then I will slide it all the way to the bottom of my vertical photo to get the bottom half of my photo, and then I save it. So now I saved 2 4x6s of the same photo, but it's going to create one 6x8. Does that make sense? I also wanted to share with you how to do it vertically. So if you have a horizontal photo, but you want to create a 6x8 with it, you'll change the ratio to 2:3 and then click on that first collage where you can get a 4x6 vertical, but you're going to fill it with a horizontal photo. So I'm going to choose this photo of my daughter driving. I'm going to slide it all the way to the left, save it. Then I'm going to slide it all the way to the right and save it. Once you print these out, you're going to have 2 4x6 that create one 6x8 photo. And I will print these out later for you guys to see them, and I'll share examples in my project life and my traveler's notebook just so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so I left the best for last. This is my go-to, and I get asked about this all the time. How do I add the same photo and create a collage of the same photo, if that makes sense? So I'm going to share with you right now what I'm talking about. I changed the ratio to 2:3, and I clicked that collage with the 3 photos that you can kind of fill out. I'm going to fill all 3 with the same exact photo. Now, you're probably thinking, why are you doing that? Because it's fun to play around with your photos in your traveler's notebooks and have a border around the same photo, but they're all connected and they're all going to create one 4x6 photo. So once I find my photo, I'm going to fill all 3 spots. Now, the trick here to get it right is you have to zoom in a little bit on all 3 photos and connect all 3. Now, I recommend this because whatever you do, these photos are not going to connect. The only way you can get all 3 to connect is if you zoom in a little bit on each and every single photo. And it's all like, practice. Like once you start playing around with each photo, they will end up connecting. And you can play with the border. You can make your border bigger or smaller. I like to slide my border down a little bit because I like that look and effect of the border around every single piece of my photo. And it gives you that effect of like 3 photos, but they all connect basically. So once I get this right and I adjust it perfectly, I will save it, print it, and have a 1 photo collage. It's so much fun. This is why I always recommend to play with PicFrame because you can create all kinds of different looks for your photos. And also you can slide these lines up and down so you can get different looks and all that good stuff. So definitely play around with these. I really, really enjoy it. But I'm going to jump into real time right now because I wanted to share examples of all these collages that I shared with you today. Okay, guys, let's start printing. I use a Selphy printer to print out my photos. And to print from your iPad or your phone, you need the Selphy printer, the Canon Selphy printer app to do that. It's very easy to download and connect with your printer. I'm not going to share that with you guys. There's plenty of videos on YouTube sharing with you how to do that, but it's really, really easy. What you do is literally, you open your app and then you're going to click on photo print. I will also click on smartphone and you're going to have your photos. I will share with you how these photos turn out, the larger ones, once you print them out. So we're going to do the horizontal. I use the horizontal photos in my little mini Everyday Explorers traveler's notebooks, and I will share like a little sample of that or an example. And then you're going to tap on add, next, and you will see your 2 photos up at the top, and I will click print. And now it's going to print my 2 photos. While it's printing, this is going to be loud, but while it's printing, I did want to grab my Everyday Explorers kit to share with you what I mean and where I use these types of photos in. Okay, guys, so this is done printing, and now I have a full photo of my daughter driving, but all I used was a horizontal photo in a vertical format, and that way I was able to make my photo larger. So this turned out to be an 8x6, which is pretty cool, and I'm going to share with you what type of project I use these sizes in. So once you trim off the white border, and also while we're doing this, I'm going to share with you how I trim off the white border. I do not remove, where the perforated line is. I do not remove the photo there because you have a good amount of photo there and you're gonna have a smaller photo, if that makes sense, if you do use the perforated line. I will trim off the border myself That way I have a true 6x8, if that makes sense. So that way I'm not like losing any of my photo, and it's not going to be smaller. Okay, so once I did that, I can use it in something like this. So basically, this is what I do. I just make the photo larger and stick it down on both sides of my spread. And that's how I come up with these larger photos in my small traveler's notebooks. So easy, so simple, and you don't have to get these printed on your big printer or anything like that. You can get it done through your phone on your Selphy printer, and it's perfectly sized into your mini traveler's notebooks. So that's how I do those larger photos, and it's the same with the vertical ones that I use in my project life. So they end up being like kind of like that over each other, and you can use like how I shared with you earlier actually. So I shared how to do that with my dog's photo here. So that's how I did Stitch's photo here. It is a vertical photo, but I used horizontal collages to create it. And if I printed this, I would have two photos over each other, creating a 6x8 that's vertical. Very, very simple. Next up, I wanted to share with you, when I created this collage with you guys, I created a 3x4, and the opposite side, it was 2 boxes, and I moved my border down a little bit, added some journaling and a photo. I do that for my project life, and I'm going to grab that as well and share with you how that turns out. So basically, it's something like this. I get a 3x4 photo and a 3x4 photo with journaling. It gives me space to add an embellishment. I get to have a photo, and I also add some journaling on the bottom. It's as easy as that. It's literally a 4x6, but I trim it in half. And you can even play with it if you wanted a photo with journaling on both sides. You can do that as well, because that PicFrame app gives you that option. But I like to kind of play around with it a little bit and have a full 3x4 and then a 3x4 with some journaling. So that's how that turns out. And you can see here as well, using PicFrame, I used 2 3x4s. I moved the border further out to have a larger photo on the left, some journaling, and I can add some embellishments if I wanted to. So basically, PicFrame is just playing with the border, and it's like figuring out what works. This is another one here where I printed a 3x4 photo and then printed a smaller photo with some journaling on the bottom. Again, 2 3x4s, and then just move the border slightly to the right where I have space to journal, but still have a photo. And I also shared with you this kind of collage where I used 2 photos at the top, and then the 2 bottom portions, I kept it empty and added journaling. And once you print it, there's no lines, there's no indication that this was a 4-photo collage. So once you add your 2 photos at the top, that empty space can be used as journaling. And I'll show you real quick which photo I'm talking about. Is this one. So basically 2 photos at the top, it's empty in the bottom, and you can add journaling down here. Okay, I also want to share with you, I've been asked about this spread for a very long time, how I got these teeny tiny photos. So I shared earlier when we were working the PicFrame collage, how I chose this collage with, I think it has 9 photos here, and I shrunk down the border big time to make the photos much, much smaller. But then I went into the collage with the 2 square photos, and I put my photo in one of the squares, made it a tiny bit bigger so I can get all of my 9 photos in there. And once I print that out, I'll have smaller photos. You can even shrink it even more and more. It's literally just playing with your PicFrame app and playing with your like sizing. I never measure I never check. If these are a little bit bigger than the boxes, I will trim them even smaller. The smaller you go, like if you print in a certain collage, put it in a different collage, your photo's automatically going to be smaller and smaller than if you just printed it right away from our first collage here. They're still going to be too big for this. So putting it in a different collage, it's going to shrink it even more. So that's literally how I do it. Like I said, I never measure. I just play with it. And if it's a tiny bit too big, I will trim them down to fit into whatever I'm working on. So basically, that's how I do it. I always recommend to play with PicFrame. I've been using PicFrame for years, for a very long time. I've gone through a lot of updates with PicFrame, and I just love it. I've gotten used to it. I know basically when I print something what the size is going to turn out to be and if it's going to fit or not fit. So I definitely recommend to play with it, especially if it's new to you. There's so many different sizes that you can come up with using PicFrame. Okay, before I wrap this up, I do want to share with you one more photo collage that I use a lot. Okay, so this is one of my go-to collages. I love the 3-photo collage in a vertical format, but I do use a horizontal collage to have the vertical 3 photos, if that makes sense. And I did that with you guys earlier with PicFrame, and it's this collage right here. It had 3 photos. We use the horizontal format, but you will get 3 vertical photos, and it is perfect for traveler's notebooks because I like the smaller photos and being able to add multiple photos on one spread. It's so much fun. It is my go-to. I use this a lot, and if you've been following me for a while, you know that I use the 3-photo collage a lot. And it's basically this little collage here from PicFrame. I just put my photos in, adjust them, and print them out. Okay, guys, we're almost done. Like I said, I'm not going to print out every single photo I shared with you in every single collage, but we did start with the basic Project Life 4x6s in horizontal and vertical, very easy to put together. So this is literally how I did it. Once you print these out, they're going to fit nicely in your pockets. And then we did the 3x4s, the 2 3x4s. This is your basic Project Life pockets, and that's the sizes I use anyways. And then I shared with you another favorite here is my squares. I love square photos, especially when I'm creating a collage on my layout. And I love this one. And this is the horizontal with the 6 square photos. Really easy to put together. Then I shared with you the 3x4s with the journaling as well. Again, you can use the 4 smaller boxes and kind of play with the border if you wanted journaling on both photos. But I love this format. I use it a lot on my Project Life as well. I also use this in my Project Life where I have 2 photos at the top and then journaling at the bottom. My favorite, the 3 vertical photos next to each other. This is so much fun, especially if you take multiple photos of somebody doing a certain thing and then you want to document all 3. This is a lot of fun and it fits really nicely in your traveler's notebook. Again, if you're going to go small with your photos, you want it to fit in certain boxes, especially that card on my traveler's notebook that I shared with you earlier. You just have to keep putting your collage into another collage to get smaller photos. Look at the difference. These are definitely going to be bigger. If you want smaller, you put it into a different collage. My go-to is the square, the 2 squares next to each other. This is a favorite where I love the sizes for my traveler's notebook. And also I love using this in my little mini TV sets. Okay, let me actually share that with you real quick. Okay, so this is what I mean. So these are definitely smaller. This is a smaller TV set. So what I would do is I would probably put this in a smaller collage, or I'll find a collage where I can move the borders a little bit and kind of customize my own sizes. And by the way, PicFrame also has in the menu where you can customize the size if you wanted to. I don't think you can make your own collage, but you can definitely play with that and see if you can. I don't think I ever tried to, honestly, but basically I would put this in a smaller collage so I can get smaller photos to put in my little TV sets right here. Okay, so I shared this one with you to show you how I get different sized photos on one 4x6. So when I create my reading journal here, that's how I do it. I get a bunch of different photos in one collage, print it out, and then I have different sized photos for one spread. And I've done it here as well. I love doing that because you can use one sheet of photo paper and print different sized photos all at once. So that is a favorite. I love using those and playing with the borders to make it work for myself and my layout. So that's that. And then I shared how to get your vertical photo in a Project Life, a 6x8, and then horizontal if you wanted to work in a small traveler's notebook and have a large photo. So it's really simple. It's really easy. I love my Selphy printer. I've had it for ages. I did have to say goodbye to my older one. It was a black one, and it served me for years. And I changed up and bought a new one, the white one, and it's perfect. I love it, and it's well loved. I literally use my Selphy printer almost every single day, and I also use my PicFrame app almost every day, and my Fonto. So those are my favorites. That's how I use it. I hope this was helpful. I know you guys have been asking me to do this video for ages, and I'm happy to share what I know with you guys, and I truly hope that it was helpful for you. Anyways, you guys, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up, and if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye!